Do that. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to another Medical Monday, Dr. Gabby.
Medical Monday.
This Monday, we're actually going to go over neuropathy. Neuropathy is a very troubling condition because of the amount of people that have it. And actually, the CDC says there's about 100 million people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic right now in America. And of those, 50% will get neuropathy over their lifetime. So it's a very troubling condition with a lot of people having these problems such as numbness, burning, and tingling. We're going to go over a few things today, as we always do, as far as actually what is neuropathy, how it's treated, things that you can do, and then also what we provide here in the office if those options are not working for you.
Yes.
But let's go into what neuropathy is first of all, Dr. Gabby.
Yes. So neuropathy is demyelination of the nerve.
Okay.
We have nerves that allow us to do multiple things throughout our body. Specifically, when we talk about peripheral neuropathy is demyelination of the nerves that go to the tips of our fingers and the tips of our toes and then work their way closer to our torso, which is our
So when she
body.
says demyelination, myelination actually is what covers, it's kind of like a casing of the nerve.
Yes.
Think of your nerve as like a wire. That wire is just the inside portion, but that plastic coating around it, that's that myelin sheath she's talking about.
Yes.
And it's fed through your own blood vessels.
Our blood vessels. Now, these blood vessels specifically are capillaries. They're very, very tiny. And so what happens is, I like to describe it as raisin. They get dried up, they shrivel up, and they stop doing their job properly. And essentially, the longer you have neuropathy, the more damage that's caused, the more that myelin sheath starts to disappear. And we don't want to ever see this or have that be a result. That ends in an amputation. We never want to see that. That's just not a pleasant experience.
Definitely.
In more ways than one.
All right, but so we see the nerve go away, diminish over time because of lack of oxygen and nutrition. What kind of sensations is the patient going to feel? What are you going to complain about normally from a patient standpoint if they start having this nerve die off?
Yes, and you know what, the symptoms truthfully are different for every patient. Typically it's numbness, tingling, difficulty for different sores to heal, sharp stabbing pain, pain at night. There's a lot of aspects when we talk about neuropathy pain, but specifically it's very, very intense, very chronic. It just lasts all day. There's very difficult to find reliefs, and so that's what neuropathy is. And you hear
different patients talk about, well, I'm having problems sleeping at nighttime because the pain of the covers on my feet, or the temperature is a concern. Like, oh, I feel like my feet are always on fire, or I feel as though they're just freezing cold. But you know, the Diabetic Association of America noted that the very first symptoms that we often see are that numbness, tingling, and burning sensation.
Yeah. And typically you brush it off, right? Oh, my hand's just asleep, it's fine. Or, oh, my foot's just asleep, it's fine. You know, those are sensations we feel all the time sometimes, depending on how you fall asleep, things like that. But no, when in regards to the diabetes, like, it truly is a concerning symptom there.
So when you talk about how you fall asleep in the wrong position and you feel like your arm is really tingling, that's because of that blood flow has been cut off.
Yep.
So it's the same thing that happens with the nerve. Unfortunately, it's not just that you're laying on your arm, it's just that your blood supply is going away to that nerve. So you can't wake it up by just moving your arm as you do when you fall asleep on your arm in a bad position.
Yeah. Another great example is, have you ever put a rubber band over your finger and let your finger turn purple?
I'm not going to admit to anything I did in my childhood. We'll leave that
truthfully,
here.
You know, the longer you leave that there, the more damage we can get on our fingertips. So that's exactly what peripheral neuropathy does. It just does it at a slower pace, a much slower pace, and it happens from the inside, not from the outside.
Yeah.
So those are some major things there. And you know what I mentioned a second ago, like, the nervous system itself is very complex, and the components that make up the nervous system is very complex. When we talk about peripheral neuropathy, we're talking about a very small aspect of our nervous system, but it's a very big problem. And so with that, you know, this is a picture of our nerve. I like to talk about flow of things, right? We've got, similar to flow of traffic, we've got big interstate systems. I can't even tell you how big they get, because I grew up in a small town, and I live in Houston, which is a big town, but there are bigger cities around the world. So when we talk about the flow of things, big interstate systems, major highways, little city roads, county roads, and then like dirt roads. You know, we get smaller and smaller and smaller, less traffic.
And those roads she talks about are kind of the degree of how many different types of neuropathy are.
Yes.
And John Hopkins noted that there's actually been found over 100 different types of neuropathy. And diabetic neuropathy is the #1 cause of all of them, though.
It is. And it is probably one of the #1s that we see here in the office as well.
Yeah.
So with that, this is a big aspect of a nerve, and then it breaks up and has different jobs, different things places that it goes. Our focus when we talk about peripheral neuropathy is just this area here in that myelinated nerve fiber that we've mentioned before. So this comes from that big major highway, and there's different aspects that have different jobs. Our focus here in regards to what we're talking about today is this myelin sheath. When this myelin sheath gets damaged, then the circuitry doesn't work and doesn't communicate properly. These nerves can't do their job. And that's when we get the different sensations that we get that we're like, I've just been sitting here all day. Why are my feet on fire? Or I can't walk because of just how it feels like everything's stabbing me, like I'm just walking on nails. And so that's where it comes from, is there's damage to those nerves.
So short circuiting.
Yep, short circuiting. Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, absolutely.
But with that short circuiting, what are some of our traditional ways that we help with that?
Yes, absolutely.
And the big one, of course, is we start out with, traditionally you go to your primary and there's a list of different medications. First, we start out with antidepressants. Antidepressants are always the first line of medications that we prescribe to help somebody that's having this nerve pain. And why is that? Because these type of antidepressants are actually serotonin, norepinephrine, reuptake inhibitors. It's a big term, right?
Yes.
Basically what it is it's an antidepressant because it actually helps the chemistry within your brain. Over time, with depression or chronic pain, your brain can slowly stop releasing the norepinephrine, which makes us feel comfortable, which makes us be active and do the things we want to. So this medication kind of tricks the brain into not taking this norepinephrine up, but leaving it into the chemistry of the brain. Another thing that we focus on is what most patients actually go to, because that first class of medication has a couple of bad side effects. The first one being is that it makes restless leg syndrome actually worse. And unfortunately, the second one, which why most patients don't like it, is because it has significant sexual dysfunction. And that's a side effect that most patients do not appreciate.
I wouldn't appreciate that.
So correct. The other class of medication that we more oftentimes see now is the anti-seizure medications, such as Cymbalta, not Cymbalta, but Lyrica or gabapentin. So Lyrica and gabapentin, what they do is they actually stop the neurotransmitters from releasing information. Your brain is in overload. The pain signals from your nerves and your feet are causing your brain to be in an overload, and it's like a lightning storm. So we want to calm that down with this medication. And that's what the Lyrica and the gabapentin do. They actually calm the brain down. They stop it from transmitting so many different factors.
Quick question though. I didn't make straight A's in school, but I know I got a good grade in anatomy. So those focus on the brain. The problem is in the feet.
You are correct.
So with that, how is there a connection between the brain and the foot?
There's a connection, but why are we treating with medication a condition of the foot?
Yeah.
With medication for the brain. The brain's receiving the signal, so trying to turn those signals off is not necessarily a good thing. Mm-hmm. Think about if your husband needed to call you. Mm-hmm. He's going to call your phone, and just because you turned it off, he's leaving a voicemail, but you're not getting the message. Mm-hmm. Your brain needs to get the message that there's a problem. There's a problem within your feet. Just as much as your husband calling you, just because you turn the phone off doesn't mean that there's not a problem, and he's calling trying to tell you, hey, Dr. Gabby, I need X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, bread or milk, you pick it up for the kids on your way home. But that's the concern as far as why are we turning the brain off to try and treat a condition within the feet.
Yeah, when we want to correct that problem.
You're right.
Correct it, 100% correct it, yeah. And you know what, though? Those are common treatments that are what we would call more mainstream medical.
You come to your primary, this is
absolutely.
What traditionally we would do.
That's what they're trained to do. Typically what we find is if that's the long-term solution, one, we continue to get on more and more of those medications. And then two, are you doing it in conjunction with other therapies, similar to vibration therapy? Because if you stimulate the tissue, we get increased blood flow there, right? So that's a way to do it. And then also contrast bath therapy. We're talking about different sensations that are missing. So you go between hot and cold therapy to help stimulate those nerves so they do their job more efficiently.
Like a workout for the nerves?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly, like a workout for the nerves. So, there's other therapies out there. They have the prescriptions as well. What we're finding, one, in research, and then two, in our office as well, is typically over time, those lead to what we don't want to see. And that's amputation.
If you turn that signal off to the brain,
it'll just continue to get
and
closer. Yeah.
a patient stepped on a nail and now did not know that they stepped on a nail and it becomes infected, that is oftentimes a concern, and why we don't want to go down that path. But patients can go down a different path. You know, they try it at home. There's always at-home therapies you can do. There's a couple of, you know, patients are always on over-the-counter pain medications. But I did a quick Google search for...
Oh, you gave it a Google?
I gave it a Google search for topical rubs. You know, there's multiple topical rubs out there. Actually, a quick Google search replied about 270,000 different topical rubs available. That's a lot. And
that's a lot of rubs.
There's also a big market for supplements. Supplements help, but it's a very murky road when you can Google and it comes up about 6 million different supplements.
Oh!
It can be overwhelming for a patient.
If you've used
which
6
ones
million,
to use.
Yeah, if you've used 6 million supplements, let us know. We would love to talk with you.
Yes.
Yes.
So
let us know what
it's
works.
confusing and it's hard to nail down actually what's going to work the best for at-home treatments with this. But most of the supplements that do focus on helping with neuropathy, make sure that they have, they focus on the vasodilation or the blood content, which is what we talk about, why we have this problem, why your nerve is going away. It's not getting enough blood supply, and the blood that it's getting doesn't have enough oxygen and nutrients to it.
Yeah, and through multiple episodes now, we've talked about inflammation. Neuropathy is actually inflammation of the body. It just happens to be very distant from the core of our body. So with that, you know, it's very high inflammatory, very sensory oriented in that it's just very annoying, very present. And because the body's constantly trying to heal itself, it's constantly looking for that solution inside, from the inside out. Trying to heal itself, trying to find the nutrients it needs to get the blood flow and nutrition to those capillaries to heal the nerves. So with that, one of the things that we focus on here in the office, and also that, you know, many times a home remedy, is lifestyle, right? If we can clean up what we're putting in our bodies and support our body through that aspect, we can reduce the inflammation and we can actually reduce some of the symptomology that we have. Very specific to diabetic neuropathy when we talk about that, because diabetes is an issue with blood sugar and processing. So when we support the body through that properly, and we get our blood sugar control and we get our A1C under control, then the inflammation in our body naturally reduces as well, because we're properly supported. So there's a huge aspect of treating neuropathy that is lifestyle. Specifically here, we focus on a paleo-style diet and make sure that we clean up a lot of those processed foods that we should not be eating to begin with. The other aspect as well is monitoring what we're eating, you know, how much portion control, there's a lot there. And then also, you know, a big part of neuropathy, and this is kind of a caveat, a fork in the road, like it's a vicious cycle. You know, our body recovers when we sleep. It truly does. Our body recovers when we sleep. And so make sure that we're sleeping well. And in that case, we'll be, you know, you'll be well. So with enough sleep at night, that's a very, very important aspect of correcting neuropathy and allowing the body to heal itself through other systems as well. And then also exercise.
Is that jazzercise or exercise?
That is exercise.
Exercise, okay.
We just need to get movement, especially with everything that's going on in society today. It's very, very important for us to just not sit in front of the box and watch TV. It's very important for us to go out and do things, whether it be gardening or you know, walking.
Anything to increase your heart rate is going to increase the circulation of blood through your body. That is one of the components of why your nerve deteriorates and dies, because there's not enough blood supply. So we need our heart to pump. We need to raise our blood pressure, our heart rate through activity, regular activity, along with the sleep and eating.
Yeah. And the other aspect that I love about this picture is the group, right? It's important to be part of a community. Oh, right. And so with that, you know, it's important to find people that motivate you, that bring you joy, and that you want to be around, and then do things with them. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So those are some things that one, we focus on here in the office and support you through with our program, but there are also things you can do at home yourself if you're not trying it already. You know, and it's just increase movement, do your best to get as much sleep, restful sleep that you can, and then also start focusing on portion control and eating the right foods, eating this, not that, not eating it out of a box. If you're microwaving it, if you're taking it out of a box and cooking it, that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, you know, clean eating with fruits and vegetables as well as meats. And then also, you know, here in the office, when we talk about what we do here to help our patients, we target the root causes. And we've talked a lot about that in regards to being in the feet and not in the brain.
Yeah. I like this aspect of the root cause and what we specifically do here in the office. You know, Dr. Gabby went over a few things as far as diet and exercise, but how do we keep our patients motivated? How do we keep them on this plan? What specifically are we going to help them stay accountable? Because everybody knows they should be eating right. They should be eating fresh vegetables. Everybody knows they should be exercising. But how can we help maintain that accountability? Like we've seen in that exercise picture, there's a group of people there. So there's accountability within each other to show up for the class and give good effort. What about for patients that come to us with neuropathy? How do we keep them accountable and engaged in their health care as they get better with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I love most about the program that we do is 90% of it is actually done in the confines and comfort of your own home. So you're not in and out of the office constantly. You get to do most of this at home. We're also supporting you because every day you're receiving an email from us, and it has motivation. It has information in there to help support you through this paleo lifestyle. And then also it has different tricks and content that's going to help you get better quicker, right? And so there's 2 phases that I talk about with patients when we talk about the neuropathy. We have phase 1, which is the proactive phase, right? We need to take care of this and we need to do it now, right? So let's be proactive. This is about 90 days in regards to the phase itself. And there's supplementation that's involved. It's working on your lifestyle and changing your diet. And then also there's home therapies that you're going to be doing multiple times a day because it's very important that we stimulate and support those nerves.
So you threw in supplements.
Yes.
And we talked about the 6 million different supplements out there.
6 million.
What supplement specifically are you talking about?
Yeah, so we have different supplements. One is a natural anti-inflammatory that's healthy for the gut. Chronic use of NSAIDs and over-the-counters actually causes gut issues. Ours is natural and very gut friendly. And then also we have a supplement that's going to help increase nutrition in the blood. The big part of what our nutrition focuses on is increasing the oxygen in the blood through nitric oxide.
So how do we know that this nitric oxide is the magic one out of the 6 million?
The magic one out of the 6 million, yes. So this is a high absorbable nitric oxide supplement that is a drink mix. And then also it's developed by a Nobel Prize winning researcher.
Okay, now you have me intrigued.
Yes, so Nobel Prize winning research behind this. And it's all designed there to increase oxygen in the blood so that the blood flow can increase to that myelin sheath, to that nerve, so that we can then start to redevelop and regenerate and get that function back.
So Nobel Prize winning research went into developing the supplement that we talk about helps maintain the oxygen and the pressures within your blood vessels so that you can get that nutrition and that oxygen to the nerves. This is phenomenal. Phase 1. It has me intrigued. What else are we going to do here, Dr. Gabby?
Yes. So all of the other therapies that we talk about are done in the confines of your own home. One is called the Rebuilder. And with the Rebuilder, I find studies to be very important. Research is important because that's where we get additional data. That's where new therapies come from. And so research is very important. And for me, and in my eyes, I find testimonials to be just as important, if not more important, right? Don't take my word for it. Ask my friend, or don't take, there's so much there. So what excites me is that this is a letter from the the director of rehabilitation at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. So this is a letter from the director of rehabilitation services at the Cancer Treatment Centers
so this is a big guy.
America. Yes.
The director.
This is, yes. And so in his letter, and I have a copy of the letter here. We'll go back. I moved too fast. There we go. So this is a copy of the letter here. And so what it says, and these are just 2 very short parts, is the Rebuilder system provided our patients with chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy the best and longest lasting pain relief while undergoing chemotherapy treatment. The best and longest lasting, just to emphasize that. With these remarkable results, 96% success rate. With these remarkable results, the Rebuilder system is now being used across all 4 of our Cancer Treatment Centers of America sites in Tulsa, Phoenix, Philadelphia, and Chicago.
Perfect. And
so this is the
great research developed to make this happen. Mm-hmm. And we know that it works so much so that the research is there, mm-hmm. but then to have the director of the Cancer Centers of America take time to reach out to this company just to thank them, just to send an accolade, just to say, hey, from me to you, thanks for developing this great product. Yep. We read the research. That's why we put it in our centers. But he's actually even sending an accolade just to say thank you for that. I mean, you just can't get any more personalized and better.
And not only that, the fact that we have access to it, right? This isn't just specific to Cancer Centers or Treatment Centers of America. This is a piece of equipment that we are now able to offer to our patients to get them the results that they need and deserve.
To get them, what did he say, the longest lasting?
Yeah, the best and longest lasting pain relief.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's next then?
So we also have something called the anodyne light that we utilize. Light therapy's existed for quite some time. There's tons of research out there. There's tons of spectrums that we can talk about. This specifically targets and is specifically designed for peripheral neuropathy in the feet. And so with that, there's multiple studies. What I love most is that, behind us is some information about the conglomeration and the analysis of the studies between 4,000 patients who have used this. This device has a 97% success rate. And with that, I wanted to share a study. This one's from the Diabetes Care, volume 27. And the title of it is Restoration of Sensation, Reduced Pain, and Improved Balance in Subjects with Diabetic Peripheral Neuropathy. Now, this study was a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study with monochromatic near-infrared treatment. So I hope everybody understood that. I'm not going to read it.
But to break it down then, so what do you say? Reduce their pain.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that means their nerve is no longer sending signals to the brain that I'm damaged. It's getting better. It's healing.
Better. Mm-hmm.
And the second thing you said was that they have more sensation, more balance.
Yep. So with that, in this study by Leonard, he's an MD, increased foot sensation with this study using the anodyne light. We have had increased foot sensation, decreased foot and leg pain, and improved balance were documented in patients who were exposed to 12 anodyne treatments delivered over 4 weeks.
So pain, balance, and sensation.
Correct. Only 12
all came back.
Yes, 12 treatments over 4 weeks. Now, I keep emphasizing that because, the routine we do is different than that, and you get to do that at home. You don't have to come to the office to do that. You get to do that at home, so think about the results you get if you're able to do this at home more frequently.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So that's...
So what else then? So we've talked about some of the nutrition. You've talked about the lights, the supplements. What other aspects are we going to provide to round this whole plan together to get the best results?
Yeah, so we also incorporate regenerative medicine because we've shown that incorporating injections in the lower leg with PR is a phenomenal way to help improve neuropathy symptoms. And then also, this is provider supervised. Yep. And then also you have 24/7 access to myself in the office in regards to that. So we monitor this. We have regular assessments that we perform here in the office. And you also get to enjoy the confines of your own home while you do that. So there is another aspect. We hit light therapy. Mm-hmm. We also have a nerve stimulation therapy, and that's through the Rebuilder that we talked about with the Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
What does it do?
So the Rebuilder actually helps to stimulate the nerve, and I love the name of it because it really just explains it in the name. So the Rebuilder actually helps to regenerate that nerve through a stimulatory impulse that it creates. So this is typically done in a water bath.
And this is the one that the accolades came from the Cancer Centers of America.
Correct.
And it's a bath, but what does it actually do to help the nerve?
So it stimulates the nerve through an electrical pulse. And this electrical pulse is actually different than a lot of the other devices that you've seen or used in your lifetime. This specifically has to cross the nervous system to work. So this is very advanced technology in regards to how it's designed and what it does. It has to have one side of the body and the other side of the body stimulated at the same time so that it can cross the nervous system and work and stimulate those nerves so they can regenerate and rebuild. And
so that's like an exercise program for the nerves.
And what I love is, yes, we could do one. We could just do one. We could just do nutrition. All right. We can just do Rebuilder. We can just do anodyne. We can just do certain aspects of this by themselves. But at the end of the day, when you combine all of these together, the results are phenomenal. The results they're there. They happen. And it's typically, and everybody's different, but typically it actually happens in a very short time frame that we start seeing results and changes in patients.
I like to have a specific plan. I like to have multiple different areas of approach to tackle this problem. A problem didn't occur with one singular thing. It's not like if you cut your hand, we don't just sew it up. There's something very complex going on, and the focused solution sometimes needs to be complex also. And I'm glad that we have that. I'm glad that we go over the nutrition. It's exciting to talk about having the support for every day to reach out to these patients to remind them of what they should and should not be eating, along with weekly phone calls.
Yes.
So weekly phone calls, weekly check-ins, and retesting every 6 weeks so we can track the progress of the results. But neuropathy, and as unfortunate as it is, we talk about the nerve itself diminishing, dying. We talked about some of the traditional treatments that really focus on the brain, and then we talked about some home treatments that patients could try first, but they can be overwhelming, and that is why we have a very nice package all together to help the patients get better.
It is.
If you've went through this spectrum of events, if you're currently fighting neuropathy, having issues with it, tired of the medications, want to get to the root of the problem, and focus on getting better.
Yeah, there's a solution out there. There's an answer for you, truthfully. So there's hundreds of offices around the world that are doing this and treating patients for neuropathy to correct the problem and not just mask it or, you know, allow you to function and let it progress. So we're here for you. We do this for a reason. It's because we love what we do. So
because your health is essential.
Yes, your health is essential.
You are essential, and we're an essential healthcare provider here to take care of you. If you're having some problems, please give us a call.
Yes, there should be a link below, depending on how you're watching this video, or reach out to us, 936-494-1222. We're here to help.
All right.
So,
this is Medical Monday out. We'll see y'all next week.